Diamondlot, The Diamond Squad. By Eric Hua. Chapter 34. Battle for the Sky. Surveilling the kingdom from the sky was the Spectre Rider. It had free reign of the skies until Chelsea and Leeloo showed up, but their enemy didn't seem very impressed. He thought Fifth Guard must be desperate to send a teenager and a baby dragon in disguise to fight him. Leeloo wanted to bite him, but Chelsea kept her restrained. The Spectre Rider unleashed its aura, which blew them back, but Leeloo managed to keep them afloat. The flying serpent then rushed in to attack Leeloo. While the two creatures were scrapping against each other, the riders pulled out their weapon, which clashed against one another. The four continued to struggle, not giving the other an inch. They were locked in a stalemate until the serpent spat into Leeloo's eyes. The rider then knocked Chelsea off her dragon, and she began falling from the sky. Chelsea was falling, but before she could accelerate further, she fell on something soft. Despite feeling a bit of pain, she opened her eyes to see a couple of familiar faces, Zoe and Sebastian. Chelsea was grateful they had turned around, but they had to focus on finding a way to defeat the Spectre Rider. Leeloo did her best to defend herself as the Spectre Rider continued its brutal assault. The serpent kept whipping her with its tail, and with her vision temporarily impaired, Leeloo slammed against the ground. Being as persistent as she was, she continued to stand up, but the Spectre cast a spell to keep her immobilized. Now the serpent was ready to bite against her neck and inject its venom. As the serpent pounced towards Leeloo, a lasso appeared and wrapped around its mouth. Chelsea pulled hard on the rope and caused the serpent to react violently. The creature was swinging out of control, giving its rider problems. With the Spectre Rider preoccupied, Sebastian and his griffin tackled them several times. But eventually, the Spectre Rider regained control of the situation. The serpent bit the griffin's neck, and then the rider knocked Sebastian off his companion. Sebastian saw his companion poisoned and attempted to reach out, but the Spectre Rider stood between them. With its sword in its hand, it was ready to eliminate the animal caretaker. The rider lifted its blade, but it was blindsided as Leeloo and Chelsea tackled them aside. The serpent attempted to use its spit attack again, but Leeloo countered by unleashing fire from her mouth. With the attack neutralized, both riders commanded their companion to tackle each other at full speed. The impact was so great that both riders were knocked off. Leeloo and the flying serpent continue their battle in the sky without their riders. The serpent used its body and coiled around her enemy. Leeloo struggled to break free, so instead of staying in the air, she dove straight for the ground. The serpent refused to let go, so the two stubborn creatures hit the ground hard on impact. Both creatures got up and bashed their heads against one another, and then the serpent used its tail lash attack against Leeloo's face. Leeloo's head hit the side of a building and she fell unconscious. She was defenseless, with the serpent ready to inject its venom into her body. Midway into its attack, Leeloo's eyes suddenly opened and she used her fire breathing when the serpent was in point-blank range. The serpent's lungs were suffering from the burning effects of Leeloo's fire. Leeloo then grabbed a hold of the serpent and pinned it to the ground, where she used her fire to incinerate her opponent. She had claimed victory as the superior apex creature. Not far away, Chelsea continued to battle against the Spectre Rider. The rider swung his blade, which Chelsea partially blocked, but his power was so overwhelming that the sheer force caused cuts on her face. Despite the wounds, Chelsea refused to give in. Chelsea pulled out her lasso and tangled it around her opponent's sword. The rider thought she was going to pull his weapon away, but instead, Chelsea rushed in and kicked the Spectre. As the Spectre was pushed back, Chelsea pulled on the lasso and stole the weapon from the rider. She tossed the weapon away and drove her sword into his gut. Chelsea landed the critical blow, and the Spectre was no longer able to move. Seeing her enemy defeated, Chelsea attempted to retrieve her weapon, but the Spectre's hands suddenly grabbed Chelsea's arm and it began to burn. Chelsea managed to pull her arm away, but the Spectre kicked her against the ground. With her dominant hand in severe pain, the Spectre approached her, pulling out the sword she drove into him. The Spectre had its weapon ready to end the fight, but another sword was suddenly driven through his chest. The Spectre was yelling in pain. He turned around and saw the one responsible for his demise, Zoe. He was confused as to how the Queen's advisor could harm him. Zoe explained that Gurunjan gave her a sword infused with magic that designed specifically to deal with him. His whole body disintegrated and its ashes were blown into the wind. Zoe reached out her hand to pull Chelsea up, and as they stood side by side, they saw Leeloo flying in with Sebastian on her back. They made a soft landing and the warriors stood together, looking upon their shared victory against the dreaded Spectre Rider. The skies of Fifth Guard were free once again as they heard the sound of the war horn.